Hello and welcome along. I'm Ana Maria Montero. As confirmed cases increase, including here in Switzerland, demand for hand sanitizer and disinfecting wipes are surging around the globe, joining the ranks of face masks as the must-haves in our post-coronavirus world. On the flip side, industry giants continue to own up to the possible financial fallouts. CEO of Siemens Switzerland, Matthias Rebellius, just issued a profit warning for the company in an interview with Hannah Wise.
Yes, of course, it's a severe topic and everybody's talking about. But I would say in Switzerland, we're not yet in a crisis, so we should also not overreact, but have to monitor very carefully. And we're, of course, in a global environment, so we're not on an island. This is what we see every time. From a business perspective, we do expect, of course, some revenue impacts and also profit impacts to come. The Chinese New Year just took the break to now 3 to 4 weeks. Most of our factories are up again, up to 50%. So we expect some recovery, but you don't know what's coming, and it's not only China.
And not just Switzerland either. I mean, what about your factories and your business in Italy?
Yeah. So it's about, now you're talking Italy and South Korea. Of course, we're a global company. We have supply chain factories and people over there. I just come back from a call with my colleague in Italy, responsible there. They have a different situation in the northern part of the country, of course, as you know. We don't have factories there, but we do have, of course, projects running and service technicians. So I would like to say for all the countries, I'm responsible for Switzerland, but for all the countries in Switzerland, we have 5,700 people, our employees, our families. The health and safety of them is the utmost importance, and to also ensure business continuity for our customers. This applies for Switzerland, for Italy, and for all other countries. And it might be more difficult in one of those.
Supply chains are obviously critical to your business and are obviously very exposed at the moment. How critical is your Swiss business to the global supply chain?
The global supply chain is important for the Swiss business, obviously, but we also do have manufacturing here in Switzerland, which we support and which we export into the world. Not to China, but of course the entire global supply chain is slowing down. Also capacities and transport is affecting deliveries, and that is also what I meant at the beginning, that we will have impacts from China to the world.
How do you mitigate that, though?
Yeah, we mitigate it also with, of course, covering it from other locations that we're having, and also informing our customers about longer lead times. We have to prioritize in terms of project delivery to a certain extent. So far, no real shortfalls, and we are working also with our suppliers to switch to other suppliers in terms of shortfall on their end.
And how long have you been working on contingency plans?
What do you mean, how long?
When coronavirus first came out, it hit China specifically. At what point did you jump into action?
We jumped into action immediately. So, of course, for example, we bought also the mask for our people and our employees and service technicians. We have them already in stock from the very first day. We are in close contact as a global company, of course, with our colleagues in China, in Italy, and in the other countries. We have a global task force being applied from day one, led by the Environmental Health and Safety Office from Siemens, and where also the countries are involved, and we exchange good practice, and also that we are ahead of the curve when it also happens to come closer.
And what kind of strategy are you using to mitigate the impacts on revenues, for example?
Yeah, in such times you have to face reality. If there's an impact, we have to, of course, we are trying to mitigate and working with other suppliers and shifting to other factories. But there will be an issue, and we have to face that. And also in those times, health and safety is the first priority. The second is to ensure business continuity for our customers, and the third one is our own profits, which we will definitely take an eye on.
How much of a hit do you think they'll take?
And we cannot assess this now, but especially not on a global basis. But there will be some impacts. But as I said, it's too early to mention.
And not even some of your favorite whiskeys or yogurts are immune to the Chinese effect of the coronavirus outbreak. Let's head over to New York, where CNN's Richard Quest has the latest.
It is the range of companies and the depth and severity of consequences that's now starting to become clear. And it is across a large sector of the economy. Take, for example, food and drink. Two companies to watch out for, Diageo and Danone. Diageo, makers of Johnny Walker, Smirnoff, Guinness, being heavily affected. You wonder, how can that be? Well, think about it. The bars are closed in China, and $420 million in sales hit this year alone, they believe will come as a result of the Chinese effect. And then you have Danone, a good, safe, old-fashioned type company, but it makes Evian, Alpro yogurt and the like. And in Danone's case, it's the Chinese factory that's closed. Expected $109 million of first quarter sales. Food and beverage is crucial. And then you have the automobile industry. Now, even for those companies that don't actually manufacture there is going to be a knock-on effect. Moody says the global car sales will slump by 2.5%. For instance, Jaguar Land Rover is seeing no sales in China. Nissan has closed its plants and now remain closed until at least March the 11th. The airline industry had two announcements from key airlines on Wednesday. KLM and Lufthansa, both making budget cuts, freezing hiring, and in the case of Lufthansa, asking staff to take unpaid leave. Lufthansa admitted it has about 13 aircraft on the ground at the moment. The situation is serious, and day by day, we're getting more evidence of just how bad it's likely to get to global corporations. Richard Quest, CNN, New York.
And Microsoft announced just a few weeks ago that its third quarter revenue estimates would be between 10 and 11 billion. But the closing of some Chinese factories due to the coronavirus has played havoc with sales. Officials say its Windows and Surface laptops are, quote, more negatively impacted than previously anticipated. Microsoft expects it could be a while before operations get back to normal. Another show bites the dust. FAH's Watches and Wonders Geneva 2020, the high-end watch exhibition formerly known as SIHH, has been canceled, adding fuel to what some experts are calling an increasingly dramatic scenario for the luxury goods industry. Alexander Linz joins us now from Vienna. Alexander, always a pleasure to see you. So another showdown. Add to it that experts are saying this virus poses the biggest threat to the luxury industry since the financial crisis. Others, of course, calling it dramatic. What do you say?
It is a threat, of course. It's primarily a threat to our health, and I do sincerely hope that no one gets hurt. But of course, it will also hurt our habits in terms of what we do, what we buy, and what we spend. And I think the mood is not the best in the moment, and the major thing that should happen or what has to be brought back is the mood of the people to go out again, to have fun, and to also spend money. And a big group of travelers that are commonly known as the Chinese are not traveling in the moment. They are more or less banned. They are not allowed to travel. Now we have the problems also in Italy with the coronavirus. So I think another 3-4 weeks we will have to go through some maybe tough times. But then I expect that this industry, this world, Europe should come back to to a kind of normality again. I hope so, at least.
Yes, because the numbers are tremendous. If you look just at the luxury goods industry, the Chinese, as you say, they are commonly called, consumers account for 40% of the almost 300 billion euros spent last year on luxury goods and drove 80% of the growth. So not having to participate is a big deal.
And they are those who spend the most money when they travel. So it's really something the industry is missing. And I don't think that the mood in China mainland is the best also for buying luxury goods in the moment. But this is something we have to go through. It's a pandemia. Some call it a pandemia. Some do not. We will see what happens in Europe, and this will also probably be very much the way it continues. And it was, I think, a good decision coming from the formerly called SIHH, or now called Watches and Wonders. It's a private saloon. It's a private exhibition, an exhibition that is targeted towards professionals dealers, retailers, and the press, and not so much towards the greater public. The Baselworld show. Now,
this is the question. This is the question that has everybody now waiting. I mean, it kind of would be a surprise if they do continue. Or do you agree?
Baselworld is in the same position as the Salon de l'Auto, the car show that will start in Geneva beginning of March.
But that one is still on. It has not been canceled. Right.
No, it has not been canceled, and the authorities are monitoring it closely with the organizers. And that's the same position in Basel is in. It is a public show. It is a show that is really exposing to a big Swiss public and the visitors, 80,000 or more visitors coming from Switzerland to see. And this is not a decision a private person will take. It is a decision more or less the government will take. And I think Baselworld is just waiting for the government to take a decision to say, okay, go or not go. I personally, but this is just my 2 cents, I personally think that we will see a scenario where they will try by all means to make the show happen. But if it is really too dangerous, if there are more coronavirus cases popping up in Switzerland, and if you have more corona cases popping up around Switzerland, I think they will have to cancel. There is no way of doing it in sense of who is responsible in the end for any outcome. I don't know.
And how would this impact the MCH group, for whom this year's Baselworld was supposed to be like a bit of a comeback after Swatch pulling out?
Honestly, they don't deserve that. You know, that's really like getting knocked out without even being in the ring. You know, it's really cruel. But this is nature. This is our world. These are things that will happen also in the future. And it also shows how fragile, meanwhile, we all have become. What it means that such a virus spreads over the world and what can happen. And I think we also have to look into the future, asking ourselves, are such big events still necessary? Are there alternatives? Can we handle and can we present goods, luxury goods, in a different way? I think this could also be a good chance for the entire industry to think and to take the time and to say, okay, is this the way we should do it? What happened since we had to cancel? Did we have any very negative outcome, or did it still went okay? Did it still develop everything to be okay?
And how much of the budget did we save by not putting on these big events? It's also going to be a question on the table, I assume.
The budgets they save are huge, of course, but I don't know if these budgets can be reinvested or are reinvested then to attract the same amount of people, either in terms of journalists, either in terms of retailers and also public. And so we will have to see. They are doing a lot of savings, of course. On the other hand side, I think I told this in one of our interviews before. I spoke about it. I think Switzerland needs a show in terms of it's not only the big ones that are on display in terms of that. It's not only Rolex, Patek, and the big ones who are there. There are so many small ones. There is the entire industry, the machine industry, and all those who are delivering goods to the big manufacturers, and they need a platform and they deserve a platform. And if you ask me personally, I think this is also the reason why Patek Philippe, Rolex, and also the big ones, Chopin, and also the LVMH group are still there, because they are honoring a little bit that effort and that strength of the Swiss watch industry. It's a kind of a responsibility also the big ones have. And if I look at Rolex, they behave really like gentlemen. You know, they don't just go. Rolex doesn't need any Baselworld. They are distributing their watches because they are anyhow sold out. So you're not ordering anything at the Baselworld as a client, as a retailer. You get. So you are happy if you get the watch. And this is not cynical what I'm saying, but this is reality. And for Rolex being there and keeping the flag of Switzerland up, this is really gentlemanlike, in my personal opinion.
And these companies that you've just mentioned are discussing, as we speak, what they are going to do about Baselworld altogether, as you said, with the Swiss government. To finish up, Alexander, if you were a betting man, what would you say about Baselworld? Will it happen or not?
I don't think it will happen this year because I'm really scared of what's going on, and I don't think that governments around Switzerland and also the Swiss themselves will get control of the virus so quickly, because it's a training effect we're having. I don't think Europe has seen anything comparable, or the world has seen anything comparable recently. And I don't think they are able to handle all the problems we're going to have in the next weeks so quickly. And so therefore they are going to take a decision to be on the safe side. That's my personal opinion. I would hope to get there. I would hope that everything finishes until then. But if we read the news and if we see what experts are telling us, I'm not convinced. It's not a good sign. And I'm really, once again, Baselworld does not deserve such a disaster. It's horrible. I'm out of words mostly because they're really doing everything, and they were so positive and so motivated. Yeah. And then this, so I don't know what to say. And also for the brands exposing, it's a really disaster. I don't know what to say.
Well, you've said enough. I think you've given us some wonderful insights. Thank you for joining us, Alexander. I really appreciate having you on the show today.
Thank you very much. And let's all keep our fingers crossed that this Corona gets back in a bottle and we will have a Corona as a nice drink and not as a virus.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And Saudi Arabia announced that they are really thinking long-term to the Hajj pilgrimage, the Muslim religious ritual that happens at the end of July. Now, one of the key measures is the suspension of entry into the country for the purpose of completing this religious pilgrimage to Mecca or to visit the Prophet's mosque. The kingdom also suspended entry to people with tourist visas who are coming from, quote, countries in which the spread of the new coronavirus is a danger. The government said in a statement that the measures are temporary and subject to evaluation. But not all events are being canceled, at least not for now. The Tokyo 2020 organizing committee is sticking to its plans for the Olympic torch relay, which is scheduled to start on March the 26th. The organizing committee's CEO, Toshito Muto, said Wednesday they are working out how to host the event without increasing the risk of infection. The committee is looking into suggestions of scaling down and reducing the number of spectators for the relay. This comes hours after Dick Pound, a senior member of the International Olympic Committee, told CNN there are no current plans to cancel the Olympic Games. Although Pound did say the possibility of cancellation would be open if health authorities recommend it. And you can get involved in today's news by checking out our social media pages on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And whatever the comment, it's always great to hear from you. Now, don't forget, everything is also on our website, cnnmoney.ch, and keep these clean, as the World Health Organization recommends. We'll see you tomorrow.